All right. Here we go. Oh, you know what I got to do? Let's take a look first things first and see if hey Chrome. Uh let's see if the yeah, that thing. If our thumbnail actually got changed this time, cuz now that's a new Susanism, is she likes to not put up the new thumbnail. Oh no, it's showing it. Wow, I didn't know. Well, thank you, Susan. That was really big of you. We appreciate that. And Oinks here, Sergio, Haroon, Dan, Fluffy, Krusty, Stormstar. Yeah, you were first in, Crone. That's nice. Wolverine, until the end of time, Jesse, Mistra, Jake. Hold on, let me pull these out. Let me pull it out. I'm hyped. It's Free for All Friday. I don't even care. I gotta tell you what kind of day I had yesterday, and even having stupid things happen to you can't curb my enthusiasm for Free for All Friday. Yesterday, my wife had to take we got an old 2012 Ford Focus that Braxton takes back and forth to school. So I had to get both my wife's car and my car inspected. So my wife took Spaz Kid's old Focus to work. And she comes home, she says, I'm hearing something, there's a scraping sound, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, shit. So I take it out, and sure enough, I could hear it. There's a brake hanging up. Don't know exactly what's going on, but there's something in the brake system. So I'm like, okay. Well, the mechanic I go to is just like 2 miles from my house, if that. So I start heading over there. As I do, now I get the battery light, the idiot light on the dashboard comes on, meaning there's obviously a power issue. I get to, there's a bridge I got to go over a set of railroad tracks and another one over the river. And through the woods, grandmother's house we go. And as I try to go over the first bridge, all of a sudden the transmission's not engaged. And I get a prompt that says, transmission issue, seek service immediately. I'm like, what the hell? The transmission's been fine. So I'm thinking it's got to have something to do with the electrical. So I put it into park, move the stick shift, or the shifter. Sure enough, goes back in drive. I get the transmission back. By the time I drove it, just that few more tenths of a mile over to the mechanic's yard, by the time I parked it in their yard, there was just enough battery juice left to put up the windows, and that was it. It's like, oh yay. It's just and this isn't just me, I'm sure all of you guys go through stuff like that. Don't you love when you're having a good day and then just something mind-numbingly stupid like that happens? The only good thing I can say is the Focus, really, the parts for that car are not super expensive, because I think it's going to need at least front brakes, maybe all the way around. And I'm thinking the other issue was the alternator. That's what I'm hoping. But yeah, but even that can't tamp down the enthusiasm of a Free for All Friday. No, fortunately, Chrome, she says, oh, did you stop on some train tracks? Where I was going, there's a bridge over the tracks. Had I taken closer to my house in town, well, you guys know the train's right there, there is an actual crossing. That would have sucked. I'm just glad I hardly ever drive his car. I'm just glad I was in it, because Brax, he doesn't have any experience with vehicles. He wouldn't have had any idea what to do. So, but it's just like, are you fucking kidding me? Where did this come out of the blue? Well, what it was, Lude, is it was going the whole way. I knew that there was an electrical problem, and the brake issue was aside from that. And it's like, man, because I also lost my power steering, because everything is controlled by electronics now. It used to be all those things acted individually, but now everything is controlled by a main sensor, main board. So I'm like, shit. So I got it into the yard, and I got it parked, and it's like, I know I'm almost out of battery power. And as I was putting the windows up, the passenger side window was like, okay, I'll make it just barely. Huang Zhou says, a shame someone like me wasn't there with you. I don't know shit about cars, but I bet it would be hilarious. It was hilarious listening to me say all the bad words, if nothing else. And again, it's one of those things where you got to take the good with the bad. Could have been worse. I mean, because I don't think it is if it's a transmission issue, it's not getting fixed. The car's not worth that. But I don't think it is. I think the transmission malfunctioned because of an electrical short. Notifications went out. You got one, Oink? Let's see. We got 28 people in here. I don't think notifications ever, pal, go out in mass. It's for whatever reason, as near as I've been able to determine, it's just like it varies from day to day. It'll go out to a select few and not the same few every day. It's just more YouTube fuckery. That's why, again, there's always going to be content here at YouTube, but a lot of things are going to be focused towards the Goosh, the Patreon. It's the one place where we have absolute freedom to do what we want. Let's see. Storm Chef says that train would show no mercy after the amount of times you told it to fuck off. It'd be like, revenge, you're right, Stormstar. The old Ford Focus would be such toast. It would be sacrificed at the altar of the train without a doubt. Krusty Bomb says, one of those stink minor moments when you just get pissed off on the road, which is completely relatable. That's what I mean. It's one of those things I think we've all experienced at some point or other. And it was just out of the blue. Because the brake thing, it's like, okay, it's a 2012. I bought it for him like 2 years ago. And it hasn't had the brakes done. So it's like, it sucks, but that's part of maintaining a vehicle. But then all hell broke loose. Once the electrical started fucking up, then it's like, okay, now I got no transmission. Got transmission back, now I got no power steering. It's like, and I even turned the direction on to make the final left turn before I went into the garage's parking lot. And even, I knew we were about done because the turn signals were like, they had no motivation. Barry says, is this a BYO party? Can I bring my own sticky stuff? You can bring your own sticky stuff. It's recommended that you just bring some of the sticky stuff that all of us have put aside in our official sticky stuff fanny packs. I mean, the collectible sticky stuff, you got to have some of that put aside. Sock says, my car had a warning light on for a while. It stopped coming on a while back for no reason. Pray it stays that way. I'll tell you, pal. Though I'm no mechanic, but I've worked assisting a mechanic. I have a little bit of knowledge that's gained over the years. And my best friend, who was a mechanic, that's what he did as a profession, always said those service engine lights that, the ones that at least in New York and a lot of states can't pass inspection if it's on, are the biggest pain in the ass ever. He said because they detect things that are non-issues. For instance, he always liked to say, if you have a little bit of excessive moisture in the exhaust, it can click on. Well, we live in the Northeast. In the fall, in the spring, even in the winter, you can get a warm day, relatively warm day, followed by a freezing night. Guess what? You're gonna create some moisture in that exhaust when the car starts back up again. It's just like he said, if there is a serious issue with a car, the car will let you know in its performance. There's nothing that's going to sneak up on you. But again, it's a money grab for everybody because dealers know that way the car gets brought back to the dealership. The check engine light is on. Got to get it off and get the car inspected. Makes money for everybody. Love watching your lives and videos. Well, thanks, Steve. I appreciate that. Barry says I need to buy more fanny packs. I got 6 of them in my closet and they're full. And I got the link to buy more fanny packs. The thing about the fanny packs is they're actually mystical. If you just click your heels together 3 times and say there's no place like sticky stuff, one will appear. Stormstar says I had just bought a Ferrari Spider, wow, and had it for less than an hour and some dick stole it. So I chased him down and took an RPG to it and got it back on the insurance. Love GTA. Yeah, I knew where we were going as we got into the story. Chrome says, just got my copy of Skyward Sword HD delivered about 10 minutes ago. Also new figure and a few new manga volumes. It's a good day today. Nice, Chrome. Yeah, you're set for the weekend. Very cool. Yeah, right, Mark. They even come on for oil changes nowadays. It's ridiculous. It's insanity. And again, it's not by accident. It's like anything else. It's a money grab. But that's why the mechanics are supposed to probably about now. He said after lunch he'd be able to start on Brax's car. So I'm hoping it's not going to be. Again, it shouldn't be. the guys I go to, I've known for a long time. They're local guys. They're real square. They're not going to screw you. And I am fortunate that the Focus, it's the prices for parts is not exorbitant at all. I just have a bathtub for my sticky stuff, Link says. Mark says, half the time if the light's on, just unhook your battery for 5 minutes and hook it back up. It'll reset the light. Yeah, and a lot of times, depending on what it came on for, you're right, Mark, that can do it. Some of the cars have fail-safes against that now. If you do that, in other words, it'll show up when they put the, again, I'm just talking New York here, but when you get your car inspected, they have to put it on a computer. They have to hook it to a computer. And I do know that if you did that, it will show up in your inspection, though. Carlos says, hey, Curtis, have you ever thought about reacting to the arcade Craniacs? I think you'd like it, I think. No, I wouldn't have thought about reacting to them because I have no idea who they are. Jake says, my engine light didn't come on from my oil change. My car did tell me to turn off and stop driving, though. Turns out the oil filter wasn't on tight enough and it was leaking. Thanks to, oh, man. Yeah, that's a bunch of bullshit. That's an issue that should not happen. Fucking didn't tighten down the oil filter. Oh, I'd be pissed. Chrome says, nope, can't legally drive because of my eyesight. LOL. Apparently they can't let a legally blind girl drive. I'd be a menace to society if I did. In fairness, Chrome, there are a lot of people out there with licenses right now that are menaces to society, though. Mr. says, by the way, Curtis hyped you will react to Noblest as part of Gush 100. Cool. Dustroat says, I did once bring whatever to the party. They kicked me out because it was Sarah Palin. Barry says, so I clicked my heels 3 times, said there's no place like sticky stuff, and now I'm covered in sticky stuff. Give me the wrong magic command. No, there should be a fanny pack in there as well. The extra sticky stuff is just a bonus. Oh, Cinnabon's so good, Josh. He says, speaking of sticky stuff, Cinnabon gooey bites are messy, but damn, they are good. Yeah, Cinnabon is good shit. Oh, that's one of those fortunate coincidences or fortunate occurrences that we don't have one near us, because that could get bad in a hurry. They're way too freaking good. Zouth Mess says, you say bring stuff to the party, but I say you are the party. That's what I like. Jump Scare says, a lot of people that can drive that are menaces to society. Well, of course I know him. He's me. It was just, well, of course I drove professionally for 30 years. So that's something I'm actually pretty good at, just because when you did it for a living, you're just so hyper aware of all the circumstances surrounding driving, especially, when I was driving motor coach, tour buses, and you're in New York City and Boston and throughout Jersey and all these places where the traffic is ridiculous. And it just kind of, as I said, makes you hyper aware of your surroundings when driving, and that just never leaves you. Luke says, whatever I want you say, I brought blood. Yes, absolutely, whatever you want. Persona says, hold the applause, I am here now. Hear that, everyone? Hold the applause until the end of Persona's appearance here. Well done. Chief Jumpscare says, and also speaking of cars, the government has a car that runs on water. I've heard different rumors of cars being created that use the water as a source of fuel using water compression. I've never seen it verified, though. I mean, that's been around for some time, that supposedly the government is suppressing that technology to keep the oil industry afloat. Is more Kenshin coming, or do I have to goosh $100? Phil says. Kenshin. Hold on a second. Let me pull up my list. I don't remember for sure. What Charlie had this month. Okay, Charlie. I don't think. No, Charlie doesn't have a Kenshin episode this month because he went Fruit of Grisaya. And he did Inuyasha and 4 episodes of Fruit of Grisaya because he wanted to finish it off. I don't know for sure what the plans are for next month. He might be bringing it back, but there's not a plan for it right now. Willie says, "Are Nigerians allowed at the party? Because I'm having a sale." Willie. Fluffy says, "Where are the flying cars?" I know, right? Shit, Fluffy. We were promised them way before now. Hell, back in the 70s, they were telling us by that turn of the century we're gonna have those. Douchebags lied. Mr. Higginbottom says cars that run on propane or natural gas would be interesting. Yeah, didn't they have? I don't want to say because I can't remember for sure. I think it was something about just the propane or natural gas not burning hot enough for a quality combustion engine or something like that. I don't remember what all the details were. Chrome says, "Did you see Twitter freaking out over the new season of Dragon Maid?" No, I haven't. Because of the new character? They're wishing death on the studio who made it because they think she's a lolly. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, never let it be said. Well, I was going to say the anime fandom, but never let it be said that any fandom can't wildly overreact to something because they'll prove to you that they can. It's, jeez, come on, folks. It's cartoons. Cool your jets. Calm down. Mike says, "I brought family." I'm not sure what you mean, Southmask. Have you seen any more gamer poop videos? I mean, I've seen a lot of gamer poop videos. Oh, excuse me, I got an itch. I don't know what you mean by more. Cheap Jump Scare says, "Oh, it's that 70s show quote. Anytime the gang would be in the circle, Hyde would bring up his conspiracy theory about the car that runs on water." I don't remember that. I watched a lot of 70s show. But I'll tell you though, Cheap Jump Scares, that's an actual reflection of, excuse me, guys, of society, because that's been rumored since, well, it would have been back in the 70s when I was a kid. Yeah, that they had created a car that could operate on water, but the technology is being squashed to protect big oil. That rumor has been around for literal decades. And Jump Scare took over the Stream Boss. Gimster says, "The thing about bad drivers around where I live, they usually end up dead because you need to be a good driver while driving through 2 feet of snow." Good point. Good point, Gimster. Yeah, really. For those who don't know, Gimster is up in Canada, in the snow belt in Canada. True. Stormstar says, "I mean, the word fandom implies overreaction and overanalyzing over everything anyway." And it's too bad. I mean, to me, a lot of times, well, not my own personal enjoyment, but it takes away the enjoyment of something, whether it's anime, Star Wars, whatever. When you get people over the top, that we all love the form of entertainment. We all enjoy the characters, feel a special connection to the characters, but that doesn't mean you lose all sense of reality and completely lose touch with reality over them. I mean, to where you're having screaming, shouting matches or online shouting matches with other people, name calling and wishing ill on them because they have a different take on a character than do you. I mean, that's you got mental issues at that point. Chrome says, "Same studio that faced the arson attack a few years ago as well. You know, the second biggest mass killing in Japan since World War II. It's the same studio." Oh, that's right. I did know that. You guys did tell me that they put out Dragon Maid. Yeah, that's. I mean, come on. What the fuck, people? I defy to find anybody that enjoys anime any more than I do. I mean, plenty of you enjoy it fully the same way, but come on, stay in touch with reality a little bit. Willie says, "Twitter, we are the good, morally righteous side of society, but we want you to not living if you don't fit in our ideals." Oh yeah, oh absolutely. Twitter is a cesspool. I think Twitter is the worst of the social media formats, and I think it's by a lot. I've always said this as a basic rule of thumb on Twitter. If you see somebody with a huge Twitter following that got that following by being on Twitter. So in other words, not actors, actresses, commentators, TV stars, journalists. I mean, people that already had a career and brought a following from that career to Twitter. That's one thing. If you're on Twitter and you have a huge following that you generated just from Twitter, the odds are really, really high that that person's just an absolute douchebag. Because the way everybody's gone about it is they're just hyperbolic. They try and speak to a specific echo chamber, and they will create posts that are ridiculous, over the top, whether it's the Orange Man Bad crew or people on the extreme right, not so much on Twitter because that's more of a liberal playground, but when you're on the extreme right, you know, calling to arms all the people that need to be armed and ready for the insurrection and so or the Civil War. Those are the people you find that created their following through Twitter on Twitter. They're typically kind of garbage. Daihaj says Twitter is the worst one because they are cruel and unkind, yet think they are morally right. At least YouTube comments know they're assholes. That's a good point. I think that's generally true too, Daihaj. YouTube can be very toxic too, but you're right, in an entirely different way. And it's with a lot of self-recognition. I think the majority of trolls and douchebags on YouTube are aware that they're douchebags and don't care. It's just what they want to do. That's what they want to be. Whereas Twitter, they're absolute scumbags, and yet somehow seem to feel that they're on a level above, which I don't understand at all. That's true too. Chrome says, well, most big names on Twitter tend to be followed by like 30% bots. That's true. Because like Chrome says, a lot of the people that got big on Twitter through Twitter used botting methods to get there. And it would be difficult to do now because, you know, the technology for battling bots is much more fleshed out. Twitter can, from what I've read, Twitter can pick up when somebody's sub-botting. But a lot of the people that got big were able to do so before they were adept at picking up on that. Speaking of, did you see some social medias are trying to require ID? I think Twitter is included. I did see that, Willie, but I don't think it was a lot of the social media sites themselves. What I saw now, again, there could be more to it. But the only thing I saw about it was where independent operators were saying maybe we should start looking into having IDs for these social media sites, so at least people have to back up what they're saying, what they're projecting with their actual identities. I don't know of any of the social media companies who are behind it because it would be a huge hit to them. Come on, I mean, we all know, whether it's politicians or corporations, they could give two fucks less about any of us. What they're concerned with is the bottom line. And Twitter knows, and all social media knows, if you took away the availability of anonymity, the amount of interaction people would have with your social media site would drop dramatically, which means advertising revenue drops dramatically. So that I can't imagine them ever supporting it. Let's see. Lud says, I just use Twitter for the memes and hentai. They can keep their socially righteous bullshit. Yeah, Lud. I use it because, again, we have some people that follow there, and at least when I post something on Twitter, when I tweet something, it actually is made available to everybody who follows me, unlike YouTube. So I keep it for that. And yeah, like you, I follow some people. I follow some people in sports. I follow some people in, you guys know how I love my Notre Dame football. I follow a lot of people around Notre Dame recruiting and stuff like that. But typically, and I'm moving away from it even more, as I make things more centralized to the Goosh, our Patreon, even a lot of the things I used to post on Twitter whenever I just come across something that I think is funny or different or something, and I would post it there. Most of that will be getting posted over at the Patreon now. I like our little community that we have. Hey Curtis, love the content. Keep it up. Well, thanks, Zink. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. Wick says, I only ever use Twitter to see when people get upset at Nintendo. Cheap Jump Scare says, thought on Connor's injury last Saturday. Well, initially I thought, like most everybody did, it was just one of those freak occurrences can happen in any sporting event. But now I didn't read an article. I just saw a headline. It was on the ticker on ESPN. I guess Connor is saying that he went into that fight with some sort of fractures in that leg, and the UFC knew about it and cleared him or something. Has anybody heard anything about that? That's got to be relatively new because, again, I don't have any of the details, but I did see that on the crawl there on their little ticker. If that's the case, that's kind of interesting. Hungjo says, instead of spamming the chat, I'll use the power of I like that Mexican currency to tell you. Play Fire Pro Wrestling World. Fire Promoter. Hashtag Society is weird. Fire Pro Wrestling World. That sounds familiar, Hongjo. I don't know if I've played it. Is it older? Is that an older title? Because I've either seen it. I don't think I have played it. I must have seen videos of it being played or something. Because that name's real familiar. I think if I look it up, I'm sure some of the characters will be familiar. But if it's the one I'm thinking of, it's older. Gimster says, speaking about trolls, me, I got a 5-minute temp ban on Twitch because I pissed off a JoJo's fan by saying a game voice actress is the voice actor of Dio. Love it. Jeez. Who that? It's just a ridiculous place. I mean, Twitter is. It's just absolutely insane. I'm surprised I haven't been banned more often than I haven't been banned on Twitter yet, now that I think about it, which is stunning to me. Stormfest says, all I've seen is a load of wrestling legends going after McGregor. Not that I blame them. He's talked enough shit about wrestling in the past. True, yes. Okay, Hangzhou says it's kind of a remake of an old wrestling game. It's 2D, but it's awesome. Yeah, it must be the one I'm thinking of. So yes, I haven't played it, but I've seen it. Because I knew that title as soon as you said it. I've seen other people play it. Krusty Bomb says about his injury, it seems to be an inversion of his ankle, potentially also a fracture. Regardless, he has weak legs, so it wouldn't surprise me to be this bad. Yeah, that's unfortunate. That was gruesome. Shit. That was a tough injury. That was almost as bad, or right up there with, remember Psycho Sid's? When he jumped off the top rope and the bone came through? Rick says, Twitter is the kind of website that you hate and know is bad for you, but you keep finding yourself back on there and hate every second of it. I think that's true to a degree. It was for me for a while. I think now I laugh at it more than anything else because the people there are so over the top into their own little echo chamber that they're either morons or they're so swept up they can't see how moronic the things they're typing are. In either case, it's not good, but... Johnny says, went to a Pep Boys, had my tires changed, and when I was back on the road, my car was shaking terribly, and I looked, and the lug nuts were finger tight. My girl was in the car. I was so fucking furious. Yeah, that could have led to some serious injury or death. Jesus Christ, how can you possibly do that? So basically, they went through, put the tires on, like you say, put them finger tight, and when they dropped the car back down off the lift, instead of well, no, you don't even have to get off the lift anymore. You can snug them up. Instead of snugging them up, they just said, fuck it. That's good enough. Was that the one where the leg snapped really bad? Yes. Big Green. That was hard to watch. It was hard to watch. That one was really grisly. He's a good dude, too. I worked on shows with him before. Really good guy. That was unfortunate. Daihoshkin says, I can sum Twitter up with this. People who demand empathy but don't have a drop for anyone else. That's perfectly accurate. I completely agree. We're going to be going back. I'm going to be doing the revamped podcast again, and those will be recorded during live streams. I think we're going to do it over on what the hell's the name of that software, guys? I always forget it. I got it right here. Hold on Crowdcast. Because it's better for podcast broadcasting. It costs money to run, but that having the stream be in real time and everything is a huge advantage in being able to bring people onto the stream. And we're still going to do those types of streams here too. One will feed the other. We're going to be talking very soon in one of our streams here about the voting rights. And because it's just another case where you got two camps on opposite sides and both are taking it to extremes, and there's a very easy, obvious, happy middle, but nobody's interested in it. And that's just, I'm bringing that one up next. It was inspired by the comments that were in the live stream we did yesterday, where people started talking about the voting rights, and it was an interesting conversation. So I thought it was a good one to bring in. Chrome says, well, Twitter is the current home of the modern pedo movement online, also moral Puritans, yet for some reason they don't fight each other. Like I say, Twitter is a shithole. It really is. Yeah, I know. Did you see that, Puppy? Joe Rogan don't care your leg is broken. He needs his interview. Yeah, sit right down next to him. Annoying says, and here I am being an absolute idiot, unable to capitalize on my stupidity to gain a Twitter following. Well, that's why you see that. Again, I use it sparingly. I have never put any sort of concerted effort into creating a Twitter following because it's Twitter. Yeah, Prasanna says everyone is attracted to fire, even a dumpster fire. That's Twitter. I again agreed, absolutely agreed. And it's just, it brings out all the worst in people on Twitter. And even when you watch an exchange or read an exchange going on Twitter, you'll get interested in it. And then before long, one or both sides start to show their true colors, and then they start just lambasting one another with absolute bullshit and fallacies. And it's like, well, for a second I thought we were going to have a intelligent conversation. Unfortunately, it happened in this. I was enjoying following the conversation about voting rights that we had on the comments of our last live stream, but even that devolved. You had not enough to where anybody had their comments removed. I only do that if you're posting egregiously incorrect information, just falsified information. It wasn't a case of that. It just became, then it becomes, let's just generally attack the other side. And it's unfortunate because for a while they were having a really good conversation, and then it's like, well, I can't get enough leverage having a real fact-based conversation, so let me just start calling out everybody in a blanket sense if they think differently than do I. 4chan is mostly left, but kind of a subtle left. Is it Daihash? I don't spend a lot of time on 4chan. I don't know an awful lot about it. I'm surprised. I'm surprised it's mostly left. Well, I guess just because maybe it's when things go extreme right that it gets more attention. Maybe that's why I thought the opposite. Oh, really? Gimster says, I don't even know I have a following on Twitter. I say to not even follow me in my bio. That's kind of cool, actually. Barry says, had to go mobile because I need to poop. Wish me luck. My bumhole is on fire. Best of luck, my friend. That's serious business right there. Chrome says, well, it's the train wreck car crash phenomenon. It might be awful, but can you really turn away from a fiery crash or a good dum-dum fight? Good point. It's stupid, but you want to see how bad it gets, right? Yeah, I think there is a certain truth to that. Absolutely. Let's see. Samuel says, I use Twitch, but not Twitter. Yeah, Twitch, I don't think is any more toxic. The only thing toxic for me, from my perspective about Twitch, is Twitch's management. That's why I won't stream on Twitch. I hate the way they manage the place. But I don't think there's any more toxicity in the base in Twitch than there is in YouTube, for instance. But I think that Twitch is run even more unevenly and even more dismally than is YouTube. And that's saying something. CDV says, I just reached the Heavens Arena in Hunter x Hunter. Oh, God, that was so good. And I really like the friendship between Gon and Hisoka. He seems like a good friend and role model for Gon. Hisoka is just one of the great characters of anime because we all know that he's a freaking pervo. There's no two ways about it. But yet there's that element of him that you can't help but actually gravitate towards to some degree. He's definitely not a villain. Definitely not a hero. He's just a fascinating character. Bukaki Tsunami. Hey, good to see you again, pal. It's either fit in or fit out in Twitter world. Yeah, you're right. Chrome says, well, modern anonymous is basically left wing people trying to be hardcore, but being super soft and cringy. LOL, they don't do any work anymore. Apparently, old anonymous people hate them and laugh. Yeah, it's just, again, I don't have any problem. I don't go anonymous on the internet, but I don't have a problem with people doing it. There's a lot of good reasons to do so and understandable reasons to do so, a lot of them. My only issue becomes when somebody creates burner accounts or anonymous accounts with the express purpose being to try and talk as much shit as they can because they're too cowardly to back up their shit talking with their own identity. People having anonymous accounts so they can interact is perfectly understandable. That's where it gets to me. It's like, that's the epitome of chicken shit there. Lick says, does Discord count as social media? Sure, because Discord is also full of pedos, is it? Not surprised. It seems like we have an influx of pedo influence in far too many areas of internet society. Johnny says, Tsunami has one of the all-time great usernames here at CTSG. I couldn't agree more, Johnny. I've said that for years. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, Hongzhou has, that's a good point. Correction, the internet is full of pedos. It's frightening. It really is. Well, you guys know my stance on that. I don't have any use for pedos. Socialists are coming, says, fun fact 1, electromagnetic railguns are unregulated under federal law. Really? Fun fact 2, I'm like 55% sure I'm on a watch list of some kind. Yeah, I can see the progression of how 1 became 2 there. I gotcha. Prasanna says, I think the problem is the word count on Twitter. When you have such a limitation, you have to really simplify what you want to say, and in the process, nuances, lost, and misunderstandings arise. I think that is a problem, Prasanna. I don't think it's the problem. I think the problem is, again, just the toxicity of people in general. I think that can be a problem, yeah. Code says, thoughts on Team USA basketball losing 2 times in a row? I was shocked. Do you think the world is catching up, or just Team USA was not that great, just like in the past? Also, your Bucks look like it's going to win. Oh, I hope so, Code. I hope so. I think it's both. I think the world has been catching up for some time now, and I don't think this is one of our more powerful USA teams. So I think it's a little bit of both. I think that 2 losses, fuck off, Jane. Those 2 losses in a row were an anomaly. I think the guys just, I see it. I think for these, I mean, these are just exhibition games. For these professional players, it's got to be really difficult to get yourself up for that. The game means nothing. It's just a workout. So I kind of give them some leeway there. But I do think that this isn't one of our more stellar groups on the USA team. And I do think the rest of the world has been, for a couple decades, making serious inroads in the basketball world to cutting down America's dominance. Socialist are coming says, when you think about, isn't Ghostbusters 4 guys running around with unlicensed nuclear reactors and radiation dispensers? Yeah, pretty much. But they're funny when they're doing it, so we're cool with it. Mistra says the Twitter mob personalizes Arlong. Angry and bitter. Yes, very true. And you guys all know how I feel about Arlong. That's how I feel about the vast majority of the Twitter population. Hangzhou says, time to go. I need to eat tacos and sit next to a cactus. Hope you can try that wrestling game, Curtis. Have a good one, everyone. Well, thanks for being in, Hangzhou. That was fun. I'll try and remember to take a look at it. I've seen it. Because when you said the title, it was familiar, but I didn't play it. I don't think Spaz Kid did either. So I must have seen somebody playing it in a YouTube video or something, because I know I've seen it. Gimster says, people are being toxic as hell. and being pedos on the internet. Say it ain't so, Joe. Say it ain't so. Yeah, yeah. Really, really surprising stuff, huh, Gimster? Say it ain't so. That's one of the great lines of all time. Now I know Gimster probably obviously does. Uh, Philip's not in here today because we know he would have it immediately. Okay, who can be the first one to type it in? Because I know several of you will know. Say it ain't so, Joe. Who are they talking about? Joe who? Let's see who writes it in first. Because if Philip were here with Philip's ridiculous knowledge of history, that would be an automatic. But, I mean, anybody could look it up. Let's see who knows it off the top of their head. I almost said the sport it came from. I didn't want to give any of it away. Joe Rogan. He's just... Nope. Off by a few decades. Joe Mama. Correct. Oh, same joke from Code N Big Green. Joe Kage. I always like the answers when we do something like this. There's another Joe Mama. Wait, who's Joe Mama? The doe says. Come on, when do you guys got to get it? Of course, I'm a sports freak. It's the only reason I know it offhand. Joe Frazier, nope. Good guess now, but nope. Joe Cough, Lick says. Joe Swanson. Joe Swanson right from his wheelchair. Joe Biden. This is why I love when we have stuff like this. The answers that are just for laughs are just so much more fun than the actual answer. Nope, not Montana, Josh. Good guess though. I did say sports. Got to go way back though. We're talking would have been the early 1900s. Joe Mama is so fucking fat. Joe Condi's nuts, Lick says. Mean Joe Green? Nope, not Mean Joe. Good guess, Jump Scare. Yeah, I'll give you, since we haven't, it's baseball. It's a quote from baseball. I agree, Krusty. Krusty says, honestly, I'd rather answer wrong because wrong answers are hilarious. Absolutely. Petrino, that's a good guess, deity. Slow Joe, oh, he has more quotes attributed to him than just that one. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Joe Stalin. Joe Stalin, Squidward says. Good old Joe. Only those of us who know him well get to call him Joe. There it is. Barry's got it. Joe Jackson. Shoeless Joe Jackson. Josh says, oh, fuck baseball. Yeah, Shoeless Joe Jackson was what a lot of you won't have read about this. Again, I'm a baseball nut. But Shoeless Joe Jackson was part of the Black Sox scandal. It was 1919, I think. Several members of the White Sox, were paid off to throw the World Series. And Joe Jackson was their big star. Joe Jackson was a brilliant ball player. You guys know him from Field of Dreams, the character. And the Say It Ain't So Joe was what a young kid said to him on the courthouse steps during the trial. The thing with, like they alluded to in Field of Dreams, it did look like Joe Jackson basically took their money and then said, fuck you, because he played balls out. But he wasn't going to turn down the cash. But in any event, he got banned with the rest of them. Samuel Hawk says, go Joe. Joe Mo. Joey from Friends, Lick says. Josh says, how do you feel that the Bucks are in the finals for the first time in 50 years? Also, do you think they win? Oh, yeah, I'm so excited about them being in. I think they got a real good shot, Josh. Obviously, they got to win one of two games, potentially two games in Phoenix. If I remove myself from my from fandom and try and look at it completely impartially, just as a betting interest, I would give the Bucks a little bit of an edge, just from, even though it was at home, what I saw from them over the last couple games with Giannis being back, at least looks like a good 80 to 90% from that injury. That was huge, because if you had any significant damage in that leg and that knee, you don't make that block he made the other night. That was fucking ridiculous. So I like their chances barely. I mean, it's not like it's not where I'm sitting here going, oh, this is cake. They're gonna be close games, but I do like their chances to win. Joe Nye, the baseball guy, Socialist for Coming says. You're going to Money in the Bank, Josh? That's cool. PZ Josh, this is. That's very cool. Spaz Kid's hyped for that pay-per-view. He's right into it. Asuna says, gotta go play Minecraft. Nothing wrong with that. I got 8 hours of shop building to do. Love your channel and your reaction. Well, thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, we'll have some. We'll have a Minecraft stream coming up soon. Probably, if everything goes well, probably tomorrow, because BTG has sponsored 2 Minecraft streams over at the Goosh where I play on his modded Minecraft server, and I'm trying to set one up the middle of the month one for tomorrow, and then there will be one at the end of the month too. Johnny says, one line from a movie that will always make me laugh is, this is U.S. history. I see the globe right there. Spicoli is the best. Oh, Spicoli was such a great character. Oh, it launched Sean Penn's career. You know, I mean, he was known prior to that, but that's what made him huge. That was such a great movie. For those who don't know, it's Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It was just one of those classic stupid humor movies where the stupid humor just worked on every level. Cheap Jump Scare says Clippers would have swept the Suns if Kawhi wasn't hurt. Yeah, that's a talent like Kawhi Leonard. I don't know, they would have swept them, but I tend to agree with you. I thought the Clippers were going to win that series when it opened up. Yeah, it's damn near impossible to absorb a loss like Kawhi Leonard. I mean, look what he did when he was in Toronto. They won a championship because he was there. They don't win that without him. They're barely a playoff team without him. Let's see. CDV says, by the way, currently my favorite moment in Hunter x Hunter is when Gon finally managed to hit Hisoka's face. I love that. Hisoka's my favorite Pedo ever. Yeah, when he hits Hisoka in the face, and Hisoka's like, all right, dude, I'll take it back. I told you when you punched me in the face, Hisoka was like, I'll stand by it. Oh, I love that. Love that series. Rob says, at the gym, currently drinking out of my Undertaker shaker. Don't judge, everyone. There's nothing wrong with that. Anything to do with the Undertaker is always cool. Simping Stan says, so what are your thoughts on pudding now? Bet you got suckered in real bad. Yeah, real bad. And the thing that, well, you guys will see in the reaction. I won't spoil too much of the reaction for you. But what really pissed me off when it's revealed is, if you guys remember, I was suspicious of her from the start. When she was initially so peachy keen to the Straw Hats, I was like, wait, what? But because I'm kind of a simpleton when it comes to these things, I think I let her impressive titties sway me, and I was just like, oh, no, she's genuine. Yeah, okay. Chrome says, swing. Kaiser says, so the Super Robot Wars 30 game got a Western release on Steam? This is the first ever Western release for SRW that isn't an original character-only release. Took 30 years, but it happened. Kaiser, well, when you wait that long for something, it makes it extra special. And when there's a few decades worth of waiting in there. Jumpscare says, Sun fans keep telling me it was equal because Suns lost CP3 to COVID for 2 games. They're acting like CP3 is equal in skills to Kawhi. No. Yeah, I agree with you. CP3 has had a phenomenal career, but to be perfectly honest with you, even at his best, I don't think he was ever equal to Kawhi. I mean, Kawhi is one of those few guys, you got a handful of them in the league, that can raise up an entire team, can put an entire team on his back. I mean, we're seeing that now in the finals. You got a guy on each team. Same thing there. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. That's not an equitable loss. Mr. Hand was a great character, too. He was played phenomenally by Ray Walston. Agreed, Johnny. Again, we're talking about Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Mr. Hand, of course, was the teacher, the one that comes over to Spicoli's house because Spicoli kept taking up his time, so Mr. Hand shows up to take up his time. That was a great movie. Thomas says, I want to say thank you. If it wasn't for you, I probably wouldn't have seen Suction Cup Man or Brandon Rogers, and that is some of the funniest stuff I've seen. Well, I appreciate that, Thomas. Oh, man. And I could never recommend either one of those things enough. Brandon is an absolute genius, and I don't use that word frivolously. I mean, he's a legit entertainment genius. And that goddamn suction cup man stuff. That will never stop being hilarious to me. Fuck you! Look at me go. Yeah, exactly, Big Green. Fluffy says Shawn Michaels versus Canada was one of the best rivalries. Yeah, yeah, that whole Shawn Michaels Bret Hart thing. Yeah, that's basically what it amounted to. I'm not sure what you mean, Kaiser. Episode 1 and 2 of Suction Cup Man. You mean the reactions to it? It's on the channel. You just have to, search Spaz Boys Comedy Suction Cup Man. Chrome says, I'm kind of split on the Big Mom arc in general. I like the actual Whole Cake Island half of the story, but couldn't care at all about Sanjay's family stuff. Feels like it overcomplicates his backstory. Do you, Chrome? I haven't gotten that feeling yet. I'm going to reserve judgment on it, of course, till I get to the end of the arc. I haven't felt that way so far. I mean, yeah, I'm enjoying Sanjay's backstory so far, but again, I don't want to comment too much because there's no telling where it'll take me from here. Gimster says, speaking about sports, I saw a quote by Mike Tyson saying that Liston was one of the few he was genuinely scared of by stating, he makes me look like a Boy Scout. More weight to Ali winning against Tyson. And Tyson said that himself too, Gimster, when he was asked, I saw the interview, they asked him about who would win between him and Ali in their primes. He goes, oh no, Ali. And that's, but the thing is, Tyson would have had the same shot against Ali that Frazier did. They were so similar style fighters. But I have to admit, Joe Frazier was one of my childhood heroes. But in their primes, Tyson was even more deadly than Frazier. Frazier had that monster hook. Tyson had the power in both hands. I mean, Frazier could throw a right, but not with that same killing force that could Tyson. And the only reason Tyson had career went the path it did was because he was a kid who never had any direction. He found some with Cus D'Amato. Cus dies. He still had some with Jimmy Jacobs. Jacobs dies, and that's when he fell into the clutches of Don King and the people that ended up ruining his career for him. And it's just sad because, again, Mike was a street kid. He didn't have real world savvy, and the people that would have brought that to him and were bringing that to him died. But it's hard to say. In their prime, Sonny Liston was scary. But, that's the fight. That's the Phantom Punch fight, Ali versus Liston. People thought Sonny Liston had thrown the fight with Ali when he lost to him. But it happened so fast. Ali's hands were crazy. Ali hit him with such a fast, short, sharp right that it almost looked like Liston had thrown the fight. But now with the technology we have now, they've been able to break that tape down where you really see it. And Ali hit him right on the fucking button. He threw that short right and he put it right here, and Liston's head snapped and Sonny went night-night. That's one of the great all-time individual punches in boxing history. And again, that's coming from somebody who was a Frazier fan who was Ali's foe, but you got to give credit where it's due. That was a nasty, nasty punch. And Sonny Liston was a scary guy. He was just big, mean, and tough. Let's see. Chrome says, Pudding never surprised me, honestly. Oda is really formulaic in a lot of his story arc elements, and Pudding follows one of his character archetypes to a T, honestly. That one, I have to admit, that one got me, Chrome. Again, at the beginning, because of a lot of what you're outlining there at the beginning, when she first is chummy with the straw hats, I was suspicious. But just at the very beginning, he did a good job with taking that suspicion away, and then it came back and got me. Oh, Code says, imagine having the power of a Prime Tyson and a defensive Pretty Boy. Man, and Prime Tyson had excellent defense, Code. Tyson's head movement, again, when he had the right people advising him, Tyson had phenomenally good head movement, which you got to remember, because he was shorter for a heavyweight, it's already hard to punch downwards. And when he would be in that crouch and that head was moving constantly, that's what kept him from taking a lot of solid shots. He had great defense. But when Cus died and Jacobs died, things started to spiral and he started getting really, really bad advice. And when he lost to Buster Douglas, I watched that fight live. He had non-existent advice going on in his corner. I don't know who those saps were that were working his corner at that time, but they gave him nothing. I mean, and Douglas fought a brilliant fight, but the corner did nothing for him. They weren't even explaining to him, Mike, move your head. You stopped your head movement. He's picking you apart with jabs. Move your head, get inside, just like the old Mike Tyson. Chase him down. If you don't get inside those jabs, you're going to lose. And nobody said anything like that. They were just like, oh, you're doing great, Mike, doing great. And they had the wrong equipment. They were using the wrong items to try and take the swelling down over his eye. It was a nightmare. Sticky Sauce says, who would win if you put a sumo against a boxer? Depends on the rules, Sticky Sauce. There were some sumos in the early days of UFC when they just let anybody, they'd have the tournaments. The sumos didn't do well. It's just because, again, once you put those guys on the ground, they can't get back up. That's what happened in the UFC fights. If you trip them up, hit them with a shot, whatever, knock them down, they're screwed. They can't get up quick enough, because the more agile fighters are still big guys, and they're boom, boom, boom. They're on you before you know what's happening, and yeah, the sumos didn't do well. So it depends on the rules, but if it's just an all-out, no holds barred, typically it's not going to work out too well for the sumo guys. Just too slow. Yeah, oh, absolutely. Big Green says, yeah, having a good team behind you is just as important as being good at boxing. 100%. That's what led to Tyson's demise, was the people that were in his corner. And it's just unfortunate, to lose both Cuss and Jimmy Jacobs that early on. Even if they'd lived a few years longer just to get Tyson on a better path in his own life, I think everything would have turned out differently for him. Let's see. Simping Stan says, choose one. Vegeta's sacrifice or Zoro's nothing happened. Oh, you can't choose one as greater than the other. Those are two such phenomenal moments. Yeah, for me, you can't. And I have, and my wife keeps telling me I'm crazy. I have a nothing happened shirt with Zorro. I bought it months and months ago. The first time I went through the wash, it never came back. And my wife says I don't know how to use a wash machine, so I'm not allowed to wash the clothes. So I keep telling her there's one missing. She goes, no, I've been through everything. It's like, yeah, there is. And it's my Zorro nothing happened shirt. It's got to be in this house somewhere. Gimster says, Liston was a great fighter. I saw him knock out a guy's teeth one night. It's the truth, no baloney. He hit the guy so hard to dislodge the mouthpieces and teeth went with it. A true powerhouse. Yeah, Liston had done that. Of course, Jack Johnson did that famously against that middleweight who wanted to fight him. Even in that old, horrible turn of the century video, you can see him brushing the teeth out of his little leather glove there. Dr. Coblemo, that's a good name, says, I've been binging your Frank vids. Love him, bro. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I love Papa Frank. It was just so, I mean, I completely understand why Joji had to do what he did and step away, but boy, I miss that guy. He was so fun. Die Hard says, so what you're trying to say is something happened. Exactly. So Mrs. Spaz is saying nothing happened, right, Big Green? She keeps telling me, no, I've been through all the clothes, in our laundry room there. But it was in the house. I bought it. I remember I got to wear it once. I put it in the laundry and it never came back. So I've got to do a deep dive back in our laundry room there and see if I can't figure out where the hell that thing went. Yeah, I wonder what happened to the Nothing Happened shirt code. Yeah, I've been bummed about it. But I got to do that because, laundry rooms, it's back. It used to be, again, our house is big. It used to be a duplex. It's back in what used to be the kitchen area back there. And there are some hiding places. I guess something could have slipped down. But I got to find it. I love that shirt. Johnny says, Luka leading Slovenia to the Olympics for the first time ever was a great moment. If he can work on his defense and free throw shooting, he'll be one of the all-time greats. Agreed, Johnny. Yeah, phenomenal player. All right, guys. Well, I gotta go. I actually have to head over. I told you guys at the top of the stream the whole story about Spaz car. I got to head over and see how the guys are making out with it. Thank you very much for the stream. This was, as always, this Free for All Friday was a blast. Now, plan for the weekend. I'm hoping to do that Minecraft stream, the one BTG sponsors, the middle of the month one on his modded server. So I'm hoping that'll be going on Saturday. I'm getting more and more things put in place. We're bringing back the podcast. The podcast live streams will be at Crowdcast, where we record for the podcast. That'll allow you guys to be way, way more interactive with everything. There's nothing to join for that. It'll just I'll give you guys all the details. I'll put it in the community section because it's the only place that Susan sends out notifications. And you guys can just join up at the Crowdcast site. And whenever we go live, I'll also post at the Goosh when we're going to go live there, because I know a lot of you guys enjoy those conversations. And again, it'll be a cool way to get you guys all involved. But it's Free for All Friday sticky stuff. Again, I get so amped for Free for All Fridays. It didn't even bring me down all the issues with Spaz Kid's car. So this is kind of like, fuck the bad stuff, sticky stuff. I don't care how bad it is, because sticky stuff and Free for All Friday is glorious. So here it comes. This is a fuck the bad stuff, sticky stuff. You're definitely going to want some of this whenever you need to, say fuck you to the bad stuff. Because here it comes. Pampu, pampu, sticky stuff for you, sticky stuff for you, sticky stuff for you. Sticky stuff that fucks the bad stuff, because we'll bang, okay? Flashly like buggy. And as always, most importantly, and you can never bring it down, goosh, 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 goosh. Goosh.